Hello everyone. Today we'll be discussing the college football playoff picture before week 7. First I'm going to start with the American. Cincinnati, UCF, and South Florida are still technically alive. No one else is close. Other teams that I feel are alive now next to the ACC. Teams that are alive are Clemson, NC State, Miami, and Duke. Teams of the Big 12 that are alive: West Virginia, Texas, Oklahoma. Teams that may be alive are TCU and Oklahoma State. Teams from the Big 10 that are alive: Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin, and Iowa. Michigan State may be alive. COSA, there is no one alive. Independence, just one, Notre Dame. Mid-American, no one. Mountain West, no one. Pac-12. Washington, Washington State, Oregon, Colorado. Stanford and USC may be alive. SEC, Georgia, Kentucky, Florida, Alabama, LSU are still alive. And South Carolina, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, and Auburn may also still be alive. Sunbelt, there is no one alive. So think of each team's college football playoff chances. Let's start with the American 3, Cincinnati, UCF, and USF. They're all in the same boat. Win out and pray there's some carnage in the major conferences. Cincinnati does not have a big win, but it does have the Power 5 win necessary and would get 2 ranked wins toward the end of the season. No team has ever made the college football playoff without a win against a Power 5 non-conference opponent. UCF. This would be, if they go undefeated, which they would have to make the playoff, this would be the second consecutive season they would go undefeated. They have no wins. They have one win over a major school. They haven't really been played close, which is going to help in the rankings. Tough game against Memphis coming up. Then they have Cincinnati and USF. Perfect planning for them to make a playoff run. They need some carnage as well. USF. They're also undefeated. They've also had some good seasons in the past. But don't have the cachet of UCF, but do have 2 major conference wins. Albeit not against very good teams. Toughest game remaining besides Cincinnati and UCF, I believe, is at Houston. If they go undefeated, they would have a better chance, because one of the games on the road. Except Clemson, unbeaten. If they win out, they're obviously going to be in the college football playoff. That's for the 4th straight year. That is not a question. But if they lose one, can they still get in? I believe they can, as long as it's not this weekend. Excuse me. Next weekend to NC State at home. Because NC State is also unbeaten, that would hold the head-to-head tiebreaker. NC State would need to lose twice And a one-loss ACC team that is not a conference champion will not get in. NC State. Let's just discuss them all right. Unbeaten, not very impressive schedule. I'm not sure if they would get in with a loss. Probably not. Can't beat Clemson, that's for sure. Clemson would be that marquee win that they need. Also, they would hope that they would get a one-loss Miami in the ACC title game. They go at Syracuse, which has been pretty good this year. Home to Florida State. They do not have a great game the rest of the schedule. They have to win out. They lost the game against West Virginia. I think they have to go unbeaten. They have to go unbeaten. Miami, one loss, first game of the season against LSU. I don't think the ACC is not strong enough to have a two-loss team. They have to win out. They have not had an impressive win yet this year. Margin-wise they have, but not in terms of teams. They do not have a ranked opponent the rest of the season. They better get an undefeated Clemson in the ACC title game or they'll have no chance. At Virginia, decent, nothing special. At BC, same thing. They have no marquee wins unless Virginia Tech moves into the top 25. I think they're probably done unless they get an undefeated Clemson. Even then, it's going to be a very iffy proposition. Duke. They have one loss, but they don't have a strong schedule. They may already be out. I don't think they... Do they... I think they play NC State, of course, I believe. 4-1, actually, not 5-1. Their one conference game was a 31-14 loss. They have Miami and Clemson on the road, so they could climb back into this. I don't think they will, but to then get a one-loss Clemson? Maybe. They have decent wins against Northwestern. Okay win against Baylor. Maybe. Next up, we got West Virginia, unbeaten as of now. Lost a game against NC State. Excuse me, canceled the game against NC State. Shouldn't say lost, that is confusing. They have one top 25 win over Texas Tech on the road by 8. Don't have any other particularly strong wins. They'll have a chance at Texas and Oklahoma. If they split those, they'll get a rematch with one of those two likely in the Big 12 title game. That team has one loss. I think that'll probably be a playing game. They gotta win. They gotta win 11-1. They gotta go 10-1. Excuse me. So the home game against TCU and road at Oklahoma State will be difficult. I think 11-1 would do the trick. Texas. Lost early in the season to Maryland. Already 3 ranked wins. With an opportunity for one more. 4 ranked wins and a 1-loss Texas, I think that's enough. They cannot lose again. West Virginia, they're not going to make the Big 12 title game. Any other loss will be too difficult to overcome. Unless Oklahoma State gets in the top 25. But I still think that would be too much. Maryland is not a good team. That loss will come back to haunt them. Oklahoma lost Texas last week, but otherwise unbeaten. Beat a very good FAU team by 49. Beat UCLA by 28, not that matters. Beat Iowa State by 10. Beat Army by 7 in overtime. beat Baylor by 33, lost Texas by 3. TCU, that would be a big game for them. Kansas State, Texas Tech. They have to win out. They're probably going to have to beat West Virginia twice in a row. Once in Morgantown, and once at, I believe the Big 12 title game is at the best conference record. Either way, they have to probably beat West Virginia twice in a row. Or else it's over. But they would go in if they won out. TCU, they're on the very, very fringe. Their only saving grace is that, excuse me, they have 3 losses. I thought they had 2. They're way out of there. Why did I even put them in? I'm in Oklahoma. Who did I mean? I thought they beat Texas Tech. And Texas Tech's the team I was worrying about. Lost to West Virginia, lost to Mississippi. I don't think 3 ranked wins will be enough for that. Oklahoma State. They seem to have 2 or 3 losses every year. They lost to Texas Tech and to Iowa State. Both at home. They have 3 ranked wins at the end of the season. That'll be a great opportunity for them to get on the marquee. Then a 4th? Quite possibly. They may be the best positioned 2-loss team. Actually. Especially with one of those wins, probably the second one on the road as well. If they can get to the Big 12 title game. With 2 conference losses, that's not a sure thing. Ohio State out of the Big 10. Unbeaten so far. I think as long as a loss not to Michigan, I think 1 loss would win the division. Thing is, I don't know where they get that loss. They're in the clear, except for maybe at Michigan State. I'm going to talk about it a little later. Could Michigan lose twice and make that game irrelevant? Maybe. I'm not sure if that schedule is strong enough to get in with the loss, though. Loss, but not a conference title. One less Ohio State Conference champion, I think, is set. Michigan, only loss was number 12 Notre Dame on the road by 7. They can get in with 2 losses, but one of the losses, but the best chance for that loss is probably to come out Wisconsin, have to beat Ohio State on the road, and have to beat Penn State at home, or else they're not going to win the division. 2-loss Michigan, if they lose to Wisconsin or Michigan State, I think they're getting in. Only loss besides that would be 7 on the road to number 12. I think they're a very good position 2-loss team, potentially. Penn State only lost by 1 at home to Ohio State. They only have 2 more ranked games. If they win out, could they get, I think 1 loss Big Ten champ they're set. 1 loss division runner-up? Maybe. That could be pretty difficult. Out of conference isn't strong. They would have 2 ranked wins. Probably not, but plausible. Wisconsin's got to win out, and if they win out, they will be in. Starts with road games against Michigan and Penn State. Loss against Northwestern could cost them the division. That wouldn't even be close. Iowa have lost to Wisconsin, which is a huge deal. Now, they would have to lose twice. Road game at Penn State, but not much else. I don't know if they get in with 1 loss. Michigan State, 2 losses. This is probably the most interesting 2-loss team. Lost by 3 on the road to Arizona State. 10 at home to Northwestern. They have some huge games coming up. Road game against Penn State. Then another next week. Matchup at home against number 12 Michigan. Then on the 10th, Ohio State. If they win all 3 of those games, they're going to shoot up the rankings. I think their last 2 games will do them in. At Nebraska and home to Rutgers. Even if they win those, I think they're going down in the standings. They better get a 1-loss Wisconsin for their own sake. Very iffy, but they're really alive. Notre Dame undefeated. Can they get in with one loss? Don't think so. They only have 3 ranked wins, actually. Don't know if they can. Maybe if the loss. Can't see a good loss. Maybe at Northwestern? If they get into a tiebreak with Michigan State, a 2-loss conference champ? That's probably it. Washington Huskies. Only loss by 7 against Auburn in a neutral site. Beat number 20 BYU. Have 2 more ranked games, a potential 3rd ranked game. If they have 4 ranked wins and they're only lost to a top 10 team on a neutral site, I probably would do it. They gotta win out. If they win out, I think they're set. Unless something happens. Only losses at home to USC in a very controversial game. 3 ranked opponents, 1 on the road. They win out at 11-1 with that conference schedule. I think they're done. Oregon. They also have 1 loss and nothing in conference. They have a game against Washington, and that's it. They'd have 2 ranked wins, a 3rd in the title game probably. A loss at Stanford, at home to Stanford. Very controversial as well. I don't think they'd get in with a loss. Don't think they're a contender anymore. They're very fringes. Colorado unbeaten. They'll have to go unbeaten, but they're not going to leave out an unbeaten Power Conference team, especially with road win at Washington. And probably another win over Washington in the conference title game. They're going to have to go unbeaten, though. Stanford. Is a 2-loss Stanford alive? They've lost no games in the division. They've lost to at Notre Dame and home to Utah. Both without Bryce Love. I believe both of them were without Bryce Love. They do have a home win against USC and a road win against Oregon. That's 2 ranked wins. Have a chance for 1, potentially 2 more than the conference title. I don't think that would be enough, but they're on the fringe. USC, 2 losses. 1 to Stanford, 1 to Texas. I don't think they have the strength of schedule to do it, but that win against Notre Dame could push them higher than they should be. Give them a chance. Georgia unbeaten. As long as the loss is not to Florida or Kentucky, 1-loss SEC champion Georgia will be in. Now the question is, would a 1-loss non-SEC champion Georgia in? Say they lose to Florida or Kentucky and they win out. Probably. I wouldn't be sure, but if they won out, there'd be 5 ranked wins on the season. And lost to Alabama, close loss to Bama, they'd probably be in. Especially since one of them's at South Carolina, at LSU, at Kentucky. 3 road top 25 wins. That would be, I think they'd get in with 1 loss no matter what. Kentucky, weak non-conference schedule. They close with 2 non-conference games. That would be difficult. They're not very good games. They're going to have to make a statement against Georgia, of course. But a 1-loss Kentucky team that beats Georgia and Alabama, quite possible. Flee in. I don't think it's possible for them to do it, though. Florida's only lost to Kentucky. They have a game on a neutral site against Georgia. That's about it. They're going to really have to make a stomping. They have to beat Georgia and Alabama. I think that'll be enough, but still. Alabama cannot lose to LSU. I don't think. Well, then again, they've been a 1-loss non-conference champion before. 1-loss conference champion, Alabama will get in. 1-loss non-conference champion with the loss to Georgia will probably get in. especially since they already have a ranked win, and they're going to get possibly 3 more. I think they would get in with 1 loss no matter what. LSU has 1 loss, none in the division, already has 2 wins against top 10 teams, has a chance for 3 and 4. I think if they lose to, let's say, Arkansas, say they lose to Arkansas and somehow Alabama loses to it, and Alabama loses to Auburn, 2 loss to LSU would get in. 4 top 10 wins, including a 1 and a 2. 1 loss LSU teams in, no questions. 2 loss maybe. South Carolina's lost twice. Canceled the game against Marshall. Lost to Georgia and Kentucky. Texas A&M at home. Florida on the road. Clemson on the road. Could they get back in? I don't think they can get back in the division race, but if they can win the division and beat Alabama, it'll be 1 top 10 win and 2 top 10 wins and 1, 2, 3 other top 25, maybe. Texas A&M lost by 2 to Clemson. Lost on the road to Alabama by 22. If somehow they get into a 3-way tie or Alabama loses twice and they beat 3 top 25 teams, extra, along the one they have against Kentucky, and then beat, let's say, Georgia, quite possible, but I don't think so. Mississippi State lost to Kentucky and Florida. Road win against LSU, road game against LSU, road game against Alabama, home against Texas A&M. Already a win over top 10 Auburn. 2 losses. They've unbeaten in the division. That's good. Quite possibly. I don't think so though. Non-conference is not great. 2 loss to Auburn. Win over number 6 Washington. Only loss is by Mississippi State to LSU by 1. They did Texas A&M, Georgia, and Alabama. Beat 2 top 2 teams in addition to a top 25 team with a 6th ranked team. I think 2 loss Auburn will be in, but the 2 SEC losses will really hurt them. That's my college football playoff picture so far. Thank you for watching.